What the crap is going on with Jonnu Smith? We're going to talk about that and maybe some other things. What is up, Finn fans? There has been an up and down roller coaster with Jonnu Smith, with it coming out, a few days ago or over the weekend or last week or whatever. Dolphins are in talks with the Steelers, and then this happens and that happens and this happened, that happened. So I'm going to talk about it. But first, real quick, I told you I'd bring back the calendar. You might be asking yourself, what the crap is the calendar if you're a new subscriber? Well, on this calendar, it's Miami Dolphins calendar. It has trivia and facts alternating throughout the days. And today being June 4th, it has trivia. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the trivia to you. You can comment below, and at the end of the video, I'll tell you what the answer is. Plain and simple. So this trivia is, what starting safety from the University of Florida wore number 25 for the Dolphins from 1989 to 1993 and then came back for 1995 and 1996? So again, what starting safety from the University of Florida wore the number 25 for the Dolphins from 1989 to 1993 and 95 to 96? Comment below and wait till the end of the video and I will tell you the answer. So here is what happened. So you have this here. This is from 9:30 a.m. yesterday. Pittsburgh Steelers have been seeking additional receivers because, they're working with, Gabe Davis, but so they're seeking additional receivers, yada, yada, but not expected to trade for Miami Jonnu Smith, right? That was 9:35 a.m. Then Kaplow at 5:50 p.m. back in it. The Steelers renewed conversation today with the Dolphins tight end Jonnu Smith, who is seeking a new contract. The trade between the Steelers and the Dolphins is still alive per source. That is at 5:50. Then Kaplow at 7:39. Sources Steelers tight end Donald Parham Jr. suffered a torn Achilles during today's OTAs that now is likely to end his 2025 season. A brutal injury. Now, obviously, OTAs don't end at 7:30 at night. They end roughly around 1 or 2 o'clock. So that means that this report from 5:50 was because of this news coming out, which then in turn changed this news of the Steelers not wanting it to be this news that they're still in it. Do you get it? I feel like Charlie from It's Always Sunny with the pin board and all the lines. Do you get it now? So apparently it's back on. Game on for the people who used to play football in the streets or hockey in the streets or whatever. A car comes, game off, and the car drives by, game on, everyone goes back in the street. So what is going on? Are the Miami Dolphins going to trade Jonnu Smith to the Steelers? Well, maybe. Now, on the Dolphin Collective, I talked to 2 insiders, being Omar Kelly and Alan Poupart, and you might be like, there are no insiders, blah, blah, blah. They're more inside than I am. Pause. And they both said, and I literally asked them, I was like, Jonnu getting traded? And they both went, no. Which is like nice to hear. Like, okay, cool. Jonnu's not getting traded. He had a good year. He had record, franchise setting numbers for us. I think he was 4th ranked in the NFL. Just so you guys have a perspective on things of where Jonnu's coming from. He's like the 32nd ranked paid tight end, but his play last year made him like the 4th ranked, 5th ranked best tight end in the NFL. Not just the NFC or the AFC, in the NFL. He was like the 5th ranked. I'm going off the top of my dome. You can correct me below. But I know it was like top 5 tight end, maybe 6th. So he's like, hey, I would just like to be paid a little bit more than 32nd. Now, is he wanting record-breaking numbers? Probably not. Again, he's in his 30s. Again, he had a great year, but obviously, you don't want to throw a big old wad of cash at him being like, good job, because we've, as Miami Dolphin fans, we have seen what happens when somebody comes out, they have a great year, we throw a big amount of money at them, and then all of a sudden they just disappear. So obviously you want to do it smart. And for me, My thought process is, if you give him a contract, because again, he's only making about $4 million, late incentive base that crap out of that. Okay, cool. We'll pay you, and we'll give you a contract extension that whatever, blah blah blah, and your base salary would be 6. And if you hit X, Y, and Z incentives, you can get 8.5. We'll double it. But you got to hit these incentives with either time played or receptions or Pro Bowl or whatever. We'll get you to 8.5. I think incentive base is good, because you have seen NFL players that you get paid and all of a sudden they're like, I made my money. Now, not all of them are like that, but there are some NFL players that, once they get that ka-ching, they kind of put their feet up and are like, I got mine. Now I can just coast, and, they don't have that fight or that desire to want to do more. Again, that's probably 5% of the NFL, but still, you got to cover your butts. So what I honestly think is happening with Jonnu Smith and the Miami Dolphins and the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Why I think that talks stopped at 9-something this morning. Obviously, we know why they reignited, but why they stopped initially is, I think, and again, I've already talked about this, but I think that the Dolphins were in talk with the Steelers. Like, listen, hey, you want Jonnu, your offense coordinator loves Jonnu, worked with him with 2 different teams. Cool. We would like X back, or we would like this pick back, a 5th that could become a 4th. Whatever, with playtime, blah blah blah. And the Steelers are probably like, cool, we can do that for you, because we're gonna have 16 draft picks, because they're getting 4 comp picks. I don't know why I said Fort. But they're probably like, then the Dolphins are like, he's gonna want a new contract, and they're like, huh? And then Drew Rosenhaus is like, yeah, he wants to get paid. And then the Steelers are like, no, we're not gonna pay him top, because he's not even going to be our top guy. That's what Freiermuth is, and he's more of this and that. That, I think, is where it's on off, and then obviously the injury made it back on, is because he wants to get paid from his production with Miami, where he was tight end number 1, but he's going to go to the Steelers where he'll be tight end number 2 behind Freiermuth. Because I think the Dolphins will be like, you got to give us Washington. We need a tight end back if we're going to give you Jonnu, which I wouldn't be upset if they got Washington. But I think that's where all of a sudden it's that. And I think that's what also is happening with Jaylen Ramsey, is it's that money. It's that cap space, that cap hit that the new team is going to take when they take on Jaylen Ramsey. I think if he had a type of contract where there is there's no guarantees at this point in his contract, and he's kind of like Tyreek next year, I think people will be running, you banging at the Dolphins door. We'll give you a 4th. We'll give you a 4th. We'll give you this. We'll give you that, because the contract is very team friendly. Right now, Jalen's isn't that team friendly, so they're probably like to the Dolphins, hey, we know you'll save $9 million. Can you chip in? And the Dolphins are like, no, we don't want to. There's a lot of things going on and a lot of stuff. And again, they have OTAs tomorrow, then they have mini camp the 10th, 11th, and 12th. And then that's where you're also going to see, from the 13th, when they're done, till July 20 something. So about 2 months, a lot of wheeling and dealing, right? I'm hoping Chris Greer's sitting back watching what's happening and realizing this secondary ain't good. And if you watch the Dolphin Collective, you have heard Alan and Omar, who have seen OTAs with their own eyes, and how bad the secondary is. And it's not good. And Omar even said, everyone's open. Everyone's open. They're saying that Kader Kohu looks like prime Xavier Howard compared to the other corners that are on the Dolphins. That's not good. That's not good at all. So there's a lot of things that Chris Greer needs to wheel and deal. Now, I've seen comments, and I read all your comments below. Keep doing it. That some think this is a tank, and people think, oh, they're going to tank for Archie Manning. It's like a 30% chance Archie comes out in the draft next year. Supposedly, the Mannings like to stay a good 4 years and build up their, whatever. So he might not come out next year. There are good quarterbacks. There's about 3. Like Nussmeier is one of them. There's like 3 good quarterbacks that you can get. But again, you have Mike McDaniel who's coaching for his job. Chris Greer, I can't even sit here and confidently tell you that he's going to be fired if they do bad, because honestly, I don't even know. But a lot of things need to be done because this team isn't good enough. And I don't think they're tanking, because who are you tanking for? And, if they were tanking, you'd see Tyreek Hill get traded, as well as, Jaylen Ramsey on top of that, as well as Sealer would get traded. All the guys that are like, hey, we need new contracts, you're gone. 2019, they tanked. And look at what they got rid of. So that's the tank job. This ain't a tank job. But anyway, back to my original point. That's what's going on with Jonnu. That's what's going on with Ramsey. Sealer has not been at OTAs, probably because he wants a new contract. We'll see if he comes to minicamp. That's the biggest factor, right? If the Dolphins can make some moves, I think they're probably going to try to trade Ramsey before minicamp. And if Jonnu gets traded before minicamp, if not, will Jonnu and Sealer show up for minicamp? And then after that, what will they do at minicamp? Because again, you don't want to get hurt. And then get that 2 months to add free agents, that 2 months to contract extensions, if they're going to happen. And again, if you give Sealer a contract extension, that can clear up some cap space. If you give Brooks a contract extension, that can clear up some cap space. But will they do it is the big fat question. I don't know. I don't know, because again, there's that big fat question mark on this team with the future. What does the future entail if this season isn't a success? A lot of questions. And a lot of questions I'll be asking and try to answer throughout the 2 months that there is no football. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. You guys are killing the subscribing, and I love all of you for it. I will see you tomorrow with the last day of OTAs. I don't think the media is there, but I will give you some information and hopefully some video footage from the Dolphins themselves. But comment below, let me know. And obviously the answer to the trivia question, what starting safety from the University of Florida wore in uniform number 25 for the Dolphins from 1989 to 1993 and 95 to 96, that was Louis Oliver. If you got it right, cool. Don't cheat. I can tell if you're cheating or not. I'll see you tomorrow. Like usual, stay classy. FN's out.